What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 12, episode 8. So this episode is the episode where Cynthia gets her ring. And I must say, I love everything about how this whole thing went down. We start off with, I think it was like 3 days before the actual proposal. We see Mike having dinner. They do like this whole little story thing. It was cute. We see Mike having dinner with the family, and obviously Cynthia's not there. I don't know if she went to the bathroom during this particular part or if she had something else to do, whatever. But he had the whole family there. He had his kids, her mom, her sister, and all of that was there. And he said, I'm ready to propose to Cynthia. I want to do it over the sometime. I want to do it sometime in the next couple of days. And I would like to know if that's okay with everybody. And so, there is no man to ask for Cynthia's hand in marriage. But, to get all of the kids together, the family, her sister, who is like a confidant, like her best friend, her mom, who goes without saying it's her mom, to bring all of them together. And they were like, yeah, we're cool with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then we see him take his two daughters and Noelle with him to the ring shop. He had already put down a deposit on the ring or paid for the ring. I guess he was just picking it up from getting it sized and everything. And um a couple of things I love. One is that he took all three of the girls with him to pick up the ring. Two, when he introduced them, he said, "These are my daughters," and he put his arms around all three of them. And I said, I'm Mike, I'm loving it. I am loving it. I'm loving it. Um, and he's going to propose at the opening of her wine cellar, Bailey's wine cellar. So we're gonna get back to that in a second. Let's talk about Portia for a minute, child. It's Dennis's birthday, honey. Now Dennis bought her some flowers. She done got him a cake. She done made him breakfast. Honey, they look like they right back together. And here's my thing. If you like it, I love it. If you feel like therapy has helped you guys and you feel like it has put y'all where y'all need to be and you are on your way to trusting him again, you don't know any of us an explanation about why you do what you do. If you like it, I love it. Okay. I just hope that the man doesn't do it again. And it is what it is. But it looks like they are very much, they may not be living under the same roof at this point, but they look like they are very much in a good place. They're laughing and joking and talking to each other, and he is comfortable walking up in her house, honey. And she said, "While I'm out of town, are you going to be coming to the house?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll stay here." I said, "Mm-hmm." And the producer even said, "So what's up, y'all? Is the cookie jar back open?" And Portia was like, "No. We already know you slipped up a few weeks ago when you were still mad at him. So if you slipped up and got drunk and, I'm just saying that it's his birthday." And later on in the episode, she lets us know that she got drunk and she's working with a hangover. So I'm thinking, you gave him some birthday nookie. And okay, it's okay. So we see Cynthia meeting up with Marlo. And basically, her reason for meeting up with Marlo is to find out, are you the person that take me? And here's the thing I'm thinking about Cynthia. At first, Cynthia, I was kind of gung ho with you on this one, Cynthia, because I was like, that's messed up, that's real dirty, whoever did it. But now I'm starting to think, why are you so worried about it? What did you say, Cynthia, and who did you say it to? And with that, and Marlo brought up a good point. Marlo said, "Well, what have you said to me about Nene that was that bad?" And Cynthia said nothing. I haven't really said anything about Nene that was that bad. Marlo was like, exactly. So then, how could it be me? Which, again, Cynthia, you need to figure out what you said about Nene and who you said it to, regardless of whether you feel like you didn't say you were standing in your stuff or you were defending yourself. You know how Nene think. You know that Nene takes everything as a slight. So who did you talk to? Giovanna. Giovanna. Yovana. Um, then they brought up the whole thing with Kenya showing up to, her opening, with the band and everything. And Cynthia gonna say, well, I mean, you did invite her and she came. Cynthia, don't you sit here and defend that bad behavior. I don't care. You can say what you want to say about Marlo. I don't care what Cynthia did. I mean, what Kenya did, that was wrong. That was wrong, and it was out of order. And so, then Marlo was like, and basically Cynthia said, well, you always tell us that you get Nene together behind closed doors. She said, yeah, but Kenya yelled at you in front of everybody at your house. Like me and Nene don't get down like that. And I said, well, she brings up a very good point. That is a very valid point. Kenya does talk to you crazy. Okay? Anyway, but again, you like it, I love it. If that's y'all relationship and how y'all thing go down, boom. Now we see Candy and Todd. Okay. They're at the location for Olay. I'm sorry, I said OL. Olay G. Basically, it's a Mexican spinoff of we talked about that last week. So we're at the location of the property that he bought. Come to find out, the property has been sitting empty for like 7 months, and he has nothing done. He's got this vision, he's got markups, but he don't have no construction crew, he don't have no permits. He has done absolutely nothing. Okay. Then he bought the lease for the space next to OLG2, because OLG2 is more of an it's not a standalone restaurant. It's more of a part of I ain't gonna say a strip mall because it's not a strip mall, but you know what I'm saying? It's a booth, a lot, or whatever. So they bought the space next door because Todd wants to do like an all breakfast, like a diner type. Um, then we found out that, we know he bought the 18-wheeler because he wants to get into trucking. Now I thought he was doing that I don't know why. Look, I don't know why I thought he bought it. I don't know. I don't know. And Candy's thing is, look, I appreciate the hustle. I'm all about making money, but at the end of the day, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're doing too fast. You need to slow down. You need to do one thing at a time and stop spreading yourself so thin. And Candy said, Todd has always been on this mission to make money because from the very beginning, he's always had to live with the moniker of he's a gold digger. He just wants Candy's money. Now, at the end of the day, you're still not really outrunning the moniker because you're using Candy's money to do all of this. It may be successful, but Candy's money started OLG, right? And that's not to say Todd was a bum. There's a difference between making decent money and making open up restaurant money. Please know that, okay? I'm not calling Todd a bum. I'm not saying Todd didn't have finances and couldn't take care of himself. I'm saying there's a big difference between I can pay my bills every month and I have decent credit and let me go and buy this lease on this new restaurant and get a construction crew and all this other stuff that it takes to get it started. He started talking about how he paid $100,000 for this and he paid 60 or 60. That's a lot of money. And like Candy said, Candy was like, first of all, don't compare you to me. I've made money in a recession. I've been able to make my business ventures get me through a recession. Like I know how to make that happen. So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is slow down and let's get one thing done at a time. I appreciate the vision, but let's make it, let's not do too much too fast too soon. Then because it looks like it's an old bank or something. It's got a vault. He's like want to do this whole speakeasy. I don't understand how a speakeasy is part of a Mexican restaurant, but I mean, make it work. Prove me wrong, Todd. Prove me wrong. Then they were talking about Candy was saying how at this point she said, the only time me and you argue is when we're talking business. But it seems like lately all we do is business. So that led me to believe that I feel like, okay, so are y'all arguing more lately? Is that where that's coming from? And he said, well, what you want? You want me to take you out on a date? She was like, yes. She said, I feel like all we do is business. And, our one-on-one time has been kind of getting dwindling. And y'all about to bring a new baby in there. Y'all better get all y'all dating out now. Because, once that baby get here, nanny or no nanny, like that adds a whole nother tier to a relationship, stress on a relationship. Um, So he was like, "All right, I got you." So they kind of ended it there. But Todd, and I know he means well, like, but come on, Todd, you gotta pace yourself, bruh. Pace yourself. Okay. Um. Oh, the other thing that Cynthia and Marlo talked about was the fact that Nene and Tanya talked, made up, and that Tanya invited Nene to go to Toronto. Um, so we kind of put that out in the air. We kind of put that out there. So that's the other thing they sort of talked about. Um, so now we're getting ready for we're getting closer to the proposal. So it's the day of the wine cellar opening, and Cynthia's, she's doing what she do, meeting with the party planner and everything, and they getting everything straight. And Candy and Todd were like the first ones to get there, which is really funny because they always used to get on Candy about how late she used to be all the time. So it was funny that she was one of the first people there. Now, what I feel like what it was that she was doing a drive by, meaning she went there first because maybe they had something else to do. But then Mike sort of leaned over to Candy and was like, "Can you stay around? Why don't you stick around?" So Candy was like, he wants me to stick around. She started putting some two and two together, you know, and we see that Mike's family is there. Her mom is there. Of course, Marjorie is there. So, you start looking around like, okay, all right. So when Kenya gets there, so Candy ended up sending Kenya a text saying, I think Mike is going to propose. So when Kenya gets there, the first thing out of Kenya's mouth to Cynthia is, I have this funny feeling that he's going to propose to you. Baby, Candy was so pissed off. Candy was like, why would you say that? Like, I told you that. And, like, first of all, I shouldn't have to tell you that it was a private conversation. I shouldn't have to tell you not to tell her that I think her boyfriend is getting ready to propose to her. Let it be a surprise. Let her get all of that. Like, Kenya, I don't understand what your issue is sometimes. And then she was acting like she didn't get it until she saw. And for once, Candy was straightforward. Candy sometimes like to be like, well, it kind of was a bad idea for you to say something. No, Candy was pissed. Candy was like, why would you do that? I don't understand why you would do that. Like, are you trying to ruin it for her? Like, why would you say that? And now you got Cynthia looking around going, well, no, he wouldn't do that because if he did that, I mean, my mom would be here, and I don't think my mom is coming. And then next thing you know, who come in the door? Her mama. So it was just like, Candy was pissed. I mean, Candy was so pissed. Candy pulled her to the side and gave her a good piece of her mind. Then Candy had to leave because Candy was like, I cannot. I need to get some fresh air because I am pissed. Oh man. But I feel the same way. But see, Kenya is that person, in my opinion. Kenya's the friend that's always jealous. And see, right now her relationship isn't going well. So if I ain't happy, I don't want nobody else to be happy. I think that Kenya is the kind of person that has to let you know that she knows something. Like, you can't keep a secret around her because she has to let you know that she knows what's getting ready to happen. And I think that was part of it. And I think part of it was just her being a nasty, just catty person. Like, why would you say, now I can see her saying it to other people, but why would you say it to Cynthia? Anyway, child. Anyway. So, everybody showed up. And when Marlo got there, Marlo actually bought some fruit trays or some sandwich trays, meat trays, whatever. And she had a card from Nene. And it was a really nice card from Nene, which basically said, along the lines of, I'm sorry that we're in this place that we're in, but I want you to know that I am happy for you. I'm proud of you. You've always been, a wonderful, businesswoman, and I know you're gonna be successful with this. And of course, it took Cynthia back for a second, And Marlo was like, read the card out loud. She said, we talk about all the bad out loud. Why don't you talk about some of the good? Because at first I was like, that was private. But then I understood where Marlo was coming from with that. That was her protecting her friends, saying, look, y'all are always talk about what Nene does bad or what Nene does wrong. Let's acknowledge when Nene did something nice. So I can go with that. I can go with that. Now later on in the evening, Miss Giovanna Snakegate then come over there talking about something. did you get Nini's card? Okay, because Nini really, she's really happy for you, and Nini really would like to be there. And blah, blah, blah. I was like, if you don't go sit your thirsty, they even calling Cynthia thirsty. She's thirsty. Go sit your thirsty ass down, Giovanna. Last year you was pressed for Eva to remember you from Clark. Now you pressed to be go sit your, just go, just go sit down, just go sit down. So then you had Portia was unmoved because Portia was like, I don't give a damn. What she said about me is not to be um excused or forgiven. Candy over there crying. Y'all know Candy like to cry, honey. Y'all know Candy. It don't take much. It don't take much for Candy. It don't take much for Candy. So we come to the part of the evening where it's time for Kenya to address her guests. I mean, not Kenya, Cynthia to address the guests and let the guests know what's going on. I mean, welcome, thank them for coming and everything. And Mike goes up there with her. And it's so funny because, he had met with the girls. The girls are there with the rings, and everything with the ring. And they had planned, they got it all planned out and everything. And so it was funny because Mike was like, I would like to propose. And everybody was kind of like, what? He was like, a toast. So it was cute. But then his daughter said, wait a minute, this is such a special occasion. You need to use this. And he had a bottle of wine. And I'm sure it was like some special bottle of wine, probably a rare vintage or something like that, or champagne or something like that. And then he held it up and it had a question mark on it. He said, I'd like to pop a question or the question. So, of course, Cynthia is like, it's one thing when it's coming, but it's something else when it's there. Like, yeah, I know you're going to propose to me. We've talked about it. I know that's what's coming. But when you're not expecting it or you don't see it coming, or even when you see it, it's still happening. So it was cute. He gave this beautiful speech about, loving each other, accepting each other, all that great stuff you say. And he got down on one knee and all the girls were there. And what I thought was really cute was they had this mirror that was in two pieces. And the middle piece said family. And when you put the piece together, it had everybody's name on it. And I thought that was sweet. That, that was a symbol of her saying yes was a symbol of their families blending. And of course she said yes, child. Y'all know she said yes. So I just thought that it was a really, really sweet moment. I think it was done and done in a nice way, and it was great. It was a good moment. Everybody was there. Everybody was happy for Cynthia. It was just great. It was great. It was great. And like Candy said, to go from a point where you said you never wanted to be married again to here we are being so thirsty to get a ring, child. So then, while they were there, Kenya asked them to go out on a triple date. Her and Mark, Cynthia and Mike, and then Candy and Todd. She asked them to go out on a triple date. She said, it's seldom that my man and Kenya's man, Cynthia's man is in town at the same time. They're both here. Let's all get together. Let's make it work. Then we have this moment. We have this scene with the two of them in the car on their way riding to the thing. Look, let me tell you something. The two of them act like they have never been around each other before. This conversation was a little bit more comfortable than the other ones, but it still was awkward. It still was very, you know, he questioning her about her speed. You speeding with my daughter in the car? Oh, you got this car that self-drives. I hope you paid up on your insurance. Oh, so you put it in self-drive mode, but it doesn't turn. It was weird. And, of course, Kenya was like, I'm very timid around Mark. It's just no need to argue over stuff. And I was just like, you setting this man up. You setting this man up. So Candy and Todd get there first again to the restaurant. And again, I keep thinking to myself, how Candy keeps showing up early? Didn't y'all say Candy was the one that would be 3 hours late? Now Candy early for everything. Lord, Candy, you done turned over a new leaf, honey. Or maybe they start giving you the wrong call time. With people like Candy, you start telling them to be there 2 when you really don't need them to be there till 4, honey, because that's why. Then Mike and Cynthia showed up, and they sort of started talking about Kenya, saying something about the proposal at first, but then Kenya walked in, so they sort of, they had to do that. Hey, girl, hey! that dinner, you ever been okay? That dinner was, you ever been to dinner with somebody, whether it's a double date or just some other friends or whatever, and two people at the table not getting along, or two people at the table have a beef or had an argument or something like that, and they are talking in code to each other, but they really pretending like they talking to y'all, but they really talking to each other the whole time. That is what that dinner was. That whole dinner was Kenya and Mark talking to each other about their marital issues, but using the other two couples at the table to buffer it. They talked about prenups. They talked about um um Kenya's personality versus Mark's personality. How Kenya is more flashy and Mark is more laid back. They talked about with the whole prenup thing with Candy, because she gonna ask Cynthia and Mark and Mike, are y'all gonna get a prenup? I personally feel like that's nobody's business. I don't care how close y'all are. I don't care how much how good of friends y'all are to each other. I don't feel like that's your business to ask, especially in such a public. If she want to tell you one on one, that's one thing, but neither here nor there. They got into this conversation about prenups, and we know what happened with Candy and Todd. We saw that play out on their show when they were getting married. But Todd did end up marrying it, and Candy put up a good point. Candy was like, "Look, I feel like a prenup is like insurance. You don't want to have to use it, but I would rather have it and go through it at a time when we were friends and we were getting along, rather than you hate me, we're in a bad place, and now I don't know who you are, you know. And I was like, that's valid. So Mark gonna say, well, Kenya was like, well, me and Mark don't have one. And Mark was like, yeah, because if she had asked for one, that would have been the end of it right there, because I just don't believe it. And if you're gonna ask me about a prenup, then it's a wrap for me. Like, it's over for me. Like, the relationship is done. And so, of course, Kenya started talking about, well, I had all this before I met you. And, I've been a brand since I was 17 years old. And he was like, look, the way I feel about it, because Candy said, well, what about your restaurants? I mean, she could take your restaurants. He said, I tell you what, I had them before her. I could take them. I could get them again. I could get it back. Like, I had it before I met her. I could get it back. And I was like, ooh, okay. Then they brought up, how he proposed to her. So basically, the way he proposed to her was basically like, yeah, so you my girl, now we get married. But the wedding, I guess, was supposed to be romantic. And Kenya gonna say, yeah, it was the second best day of my life, after winning Miss America. Not having your baby was the best day of your life. Marrying the man of your dreams wasn't. I understand Miss America being up there. Don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, okay. So, that's pretty much how dinner went down. And Cynthia was like, I knew that they were having problems. I didn't know how bad it was, because it was awkward. Because the grand finale was Nene. And they were talking about Nene writing the letter, whatever. And he's gonna start talking about how he don't have no problem with Nene. Nene's always been nice to him, and Nene's always been this, and Nene's always been that. And he don't have no beef with Nene. And Kenya was like, well, I just want to remind you how upset you were, or how bothered you were when Nene made the comment about me carrying a buffalo and giving birth to a buffalo, because she was talking about your unborn child. And he was like, well, I mean, yeah, but didn't she apologize? And Kenya was like, no, she never apologized. He was like, oh, I thought you told me that she called to apologize. Well, she might have, because y'all know Kenya be lying. Nene might have called to apologize. But anyway, I doubt that too. But she might have. I don't know. So then she was like, he said, well, she's just always been respectful to me. I don't have no problem with it. And Kenya was like, and Candy, all of them basically said, look, I get all of that, but if this is someone who's disrespected your wife, you kind of need to have your wife's back. And Todd was like, yeah, Mike, because Mike, no matter of fact, Mike was the one that said it. Mike was like, she's always been nice to me too. However, she, she got beef with my girl, so she got beef with me, And Todd said the same thing. Todd was like, oh yeah, nah, I don't rock with nobody that come for Candy. So then Mark was sitting there looking stupid, because of course Kenya was like, hello, like, I'm not the only one that feels this way. So it was bad. It was awkward. And Kenya is continuing to set up the narrative of Mark being this bad husband. Because they don't have a prenup, she gotta paint a picture. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.